Hey, what's going on, lads? Aaron here, and welcome to your top 5 moments for the 2018 German Grand Prix. And what a race we were once again treated to in Formula 1 in 2018. That race went completely sideways halfway through it, or two-thirds through it, and unbelievable scenes. Unbelievable scenes. If you're unfamiliar, I tweet out after the race is over what your top moments are on Twitter. I try and collate them together into a top 5 list, putting in obviously a little bit of my input as well, and we're going to try and do a top 5 here, and also we'll do some honourable mentions at the end as well, because that race had everything, and had a little bit of just chaos, rain finally for the first time ever in F1, when there was like reports of rain before the race had started. It actually came down, so let's get into this then. Top 5 moments at the German Grand Prix. Number 5. Now, this is really completely unrelated to the top end and sharp end of the field, but I mentioned the rain coming down, and it actually helped a lot of drivers out. We'll get to some of the others that helped out, but it definitely helped out Stoffel Van Dorn, because 20 laps before the rain came out, he was seemingly going to retire from the race. He had slowed down to an absolute turtle speed going around the track, and had seemingly retired from the race, it looked like. And then when the rain came around, everyone went sideways, and it all went just completely on its head. Van Dorn ended up in P13. He was literally resurrected from the dead of retirement up to P13 due to the rain, all the chaos there. He was able to get back out or something, or fix whatever went wrong in the car in the pit lane, and go back out there and actually continue racing. That for me was a great moment, just to see just utter confusion when I clocked it on the little ladder on the left hand side of the F1 feed. Number 4 is going to be Charles Leclerc's spectacular spin in the rain. Of course, it was a very tricky period for a big portion of that race, where it started to rain, but it was almost a la kind of Brazil 2012, or just a case of also teams maybe being a little bit stubborn perhaps, and just they couldn't really call it. And it was almost like on the F1 game, where you put on intermediates and the track feels worse, because for all the guys who are on fresher slicks, they were going faster than those on inters. And obviously, you know, for all the good Leclerc's done, obviously he kind of showed his inexperience today with that spin. He catched it, he caught it really well. It was a mega catch, because he span back in the right direction. So that in itself was spectacular in itself, and that's why it's one of the top moments there. But that entire thing kind of showcased how crazy it was. You know, a top driver like Leclerc showed off how good he has been in quali, yet again did the job in Q3, but even he was able to drop it under what was just a hectic period of 10 minutes where no one had any kind of clue what was going on in that grid. I don't think even any of the top teams had any clue. I mean, we had Verstappen and also Toro Rosso make some blunders on the pit strategy, and that's actually going to play into the third moment, which was when the rain came down and it all shit hit the fan, basically. And I think for me, and I think a lot of you guys on Twitter, was when Pierre Gasly just absolutely sent it. His engineers lost the plot, didn't run the numbers, and put him on full wet tyres. He went from slicks to full wets to slicks again. Don't mess with the man. He lives life on the edge, clearly, because it was nowhere near full wets, and he thought, and his engineer crew thought, yeah, full wets, that's gonna pan out. We can see the rain. Just trust us, mate. Trust us. The rain is gonna come. And of course, it never did. Everyone was on slick still, and so that was a very funny moment in the race. And the entire rain period, to be fair, was funny, and also just utter like chaos of like, I don't even know what's going on here. At one point, Raikkonen obviously got overtaken by Bottas due to the traffic, and the fact that Raikkonen tried to overtake a Haas, went wide there due to that rain. That's what F1 is great at. When it does start to rain like that, but not enough for the inters to come out, that's when the sport is literally at its peak best, I feel, when the drivers don't even, are unable to handle their own cars. And so Kimi unfortunately got overtaken by Bottas then, and that whole period obviously allowed what is going to inevitably be the biggest top moment in the race, but we'll get to that. We're going to start at number 2. Number 2, I think, it's got to be what was a really hilarious moment, was when Hamilton was maybe going to come into the pits. It was when the safety car was out after so-and-so's crash, and Hamilton went kind of into the pit lane, then cut across the grass to go staying out, because he saw Raikkonen was going to stay out, so he made his own call to stay out. But his engineer Bono absolutely lost the plot, because he was like, oh yeah, come in, and then Hamilton's like, no, I'm gonna Raikkonen's staying out, I'm gonna stay out, and then Bono just got somebody like, no, pit, yeah, it's pit, absolutely just had verbal diarrhea on the radio, and I think he must have crapped his pants on the pit wall because he thought he had blown the race maybe for Hamilton, or Hamilton had blown the race for himself, and then he realised, oh wait, hang on, we've got, okay, cool, calm, okay, we've got the tyres, don't worry, but that was quite a funny moment. Also, just to note, a lot of people I'm seeing on Twitter were questioning whether that should have been a penalty. The rules state that you can't cross that line if you're actually entering the white line, basically, that kind of dissects the pit lane off the circuit. It only applies when you're actually in the pit lane and you're like actually going into the pits. But Hamilton had hardly even made it into the pit entry. He was still on the escape road pretty much, so he just cut across the grass under the safety car, so that appears to be fine. I think that's how the ruling, the way it's worded, is basically it's by the letter of the law. He wasn't actually in the pit entry for a few of those, not a lot, but just a couple minority people asking what was up with that on Twitter. I'm seeing post-race. And then the number one moment, Sebastian Vettel crashing at his home Grand Prix. Absolutely tragic. The team radio is something else. I've never seen one of the top guys on the team radio sound that downbeat. Like, he was literally actually starting to cry as he was saying the words, like, I'm just so sorry, guys. I'm sorry I've binned it. And, like, yeah, you could tell the emotions were running high, you know. Got the pole at his home Grand Prix in front of all those German fans. Like, it was actually, I was really happy to see the German Grand Prix was absolutely stacked in the grandstand with fans, because there's been a debate about the German Grand Prix not really attracting too many, you know, packed grandstands. But it was rammed today for the race Sunday. And then, yeah, to have that. But that's why you love F1. That's why you love the wet periods in F1, because even the top guys can make a mistake like that. You know, just not even a dramatic lockup, a small lockup into the stadium, went straight on into the wall, and that's him out of the German Grand Prix. And Hamilton obviously got the win, then got the lead, and you know, Bottas attacked him straight after the safety car, but held through. Team orders there from Merck to hold station, as they would do, and Hamilton wins the Grand Prix and takes the lead back in the championship. And that is a crazy thing in itself. P15 or P14 up to P1. That's like the furthest back I think someone's won a Grand Prix since, I think, like Raikkonen back in the day in like 05 or whatever, just like way back since someone's actually won the Grand Prix. I mean, there's been great recovery drives, but to actually get it all the way up to first place from that low is insane. And that was that's just F1. That's the eternal drug for me. That is F1. When you have moments like that, you know, obviously gutting for anyone who's a fan of Seb or Ferrari and also just Seb himself, but they'll bounce back. I feel like Ferrari have a lot of good team spirit this season, more so than ever. Especially Vettel's been a very calm head on even calmer shoulders this season compared to seasons gone by. So he'll bounce back, I'm sure. But crazy stuff. And also, I just want to know, I mentioned that team order thing. A few little people getting pissy on Twitter about the whole team order thing with Ferrari and Merck. They both do it. I think it cancels each other out. And actually, to be fair, Ferrari didn't even do their own team orders correctly, because I feel like, in my opinion, they should have done that swap a lot earlier than they did, because it was always going to happen. So I don't know why they debated of not doing it for like 5 laps. If that was Mercedes, you just know they would have done it within 1 lap. So that's just lack of efficiency there from Ferrari. Merck did it within like 2 seconds, and fair play to Bottas as well, because he did attack Hamilton straight as the safety car came in. So fair play for him then to be so calm of like, okay, James, yeah, I'll hold station in P2. And, you know, Bottas is probably owed a win later on in the season. I'm sure he'll hopefully actually get that win later on in the season, because he was a big team player here today, and it's just smart tactics from Merck, and as it was smart tactics from Ferrari for Ferrari earlier on for letting Seb through. But then I guess a little bit of karma maybe, I don't know, but wow, that race just went completely sideways. Also, honourable mentions, Brendan Hartley getting points in the Toro Rosso. Big up Hartley. You know, he's had a lot of bad luck this season, so I think a lot of people just generally good feel vibe for Brendan Hartley to get points there. The Toro Rosso looked horrendous this weekend. The Toro Rossos were nowhere, so to see him rock up in the points after also suspension failure at Silverstone, crash in Canada, just crashes left, right and centre, retirements here and there, retirement in Austria, just, yeah, really good feel for Brendan Hartley. Honourable mention for him to actually get in the points there. And just generally, the honourable mentions, just that entire kind of portion of the rain, because we had so many midfield runners that you had the Force Indias, the Haas, the Renaults all trying to intermix. You had the Force Indias spinning it. I think it was Perez maybe spinning it. I couldn't quite tell on the live feed. My stream was like one lap later, so I was like reacting to it, and then Twitter was already reacting to it like a lap later. But the Force Indias spinning it, kicking up dirt. You could just see that it was very much like Brazil 2012 vibes. Like, it was too dry in other parts of the circuit to come onto to wet tires, and so it really just spiced things up and just added that finessing we needed on the grid. And after so many jokes of like France, remember they said, oh, there's some rain coming, and then it was actually dry, then Gandhi's flip-flop. So the fact that the rain actually finally came in the middle of the race after it was reported it was going to come, yeah, great moment for F1, and a very, very enjoyable, as a neutral, very, very enjoyable German Grand Prix to watch. Although, even though the rain did come down in the middle of the race, in typical F1 fashion, yet again, it went pouring down as soon as the race ended. Like, as all the crowd were going to the podium, it tipped it down. So we got like a little sprinkle, but we didn't even scratch the surface of what that could have been in terms of rain coming down in that race. So, yet again, even though we did get some, F1 again finesses us a little bit in terms of we didn't get a full wet running or even big period of rain, because it waited until the race ended. So even when it goes the right way in terms of some rain, it still finesses us again, the sport. But it just always does that, it seems. It literally, especially this season, I don't know, it just seems like this season, out of any other, the rains always come straight as the race ends. Like during like Ted's notebook, it starts raining, or as the crowd comes in, it always seems to happen, even here again. So yeah, that was just a typical F1 still even. And actually another honourable mention, bit of a low moment, so not a top moment, but Daniel Ricciardo retired from this race. Really got a feel for him, because he was on mediums and he was going quite long, and he could have benefited quite a lot from that rain. Like, I feel like he could have maybe jumped up even further than he already was. So that's going to be gutting for him on the sidelines, that he's already retired, and then he just watches, like us spectators, the chaos unfold, and you just know he would have probably excelled quite well in those conditions. He definitely could have jumped up. So heart goes out to him as well. Frustrating for him just to have that before the excitement and sideways action came about. Obviously, commiserations to Ferrari fans, great stuff for Merc fans, but I guess pretty much a swap of what happened at the British Grand Prix. Vettel did it in Hamilton's backyard, Hamilton's done it in Vettel's backyard. So as I see it, they pretty much cancel each other out in terms of, you know, F1's a long season. It's ups and downs, and so this is a down for some and up for some, and the championship goes on and it spices up once again. So you just gotta love it. You gotta love this sport. So guys, if you have enjoyed the top 5 moments there, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments below if there are any moments that I didn't mention that you thought were big moments, obviously for maybe your specific drivers that are maybe in the midfield or whatever like that, or there's just another moment you want to highlight. Obviously in the comments below, I'm sure there'll be many debates between different fan camps about what happened in that race. There's no way to avoid it, but just try and keep it as friendly as possible, hopefully. If you're on your end, do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I will see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.